Let's get to everyone's favorite segment of the week. It is time.
It's time for a good old-fashioned Q&A, MMA fans.
So many messages about Charles.
Ladies and gentlemen,
4 days ago,
the moment has arrived to hear from the man
Moderator
himself,
Frank back.
Ariel Helwani.
Through the Frank lens.
Live from the Box Studios.
How are the questions today, Frank? Pretty good. I haven't had a chance. It's been a real busy day. Yeah, you happy? Any hot tags?
Couple hot tags.
Here he is,
Sweet.
Ariel Helwani.
Yes, it is I. Thank you very much to Mike Heck for that. And let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it. Luc Beaumont, or Beaumont, I should say, is up first. Hi, Ariel. After the breaking news concerning UFC 295, I think this just confirms Stipe isn't interested in being an active heavyweight. 8 months is long enough. He could have stayed on the card, won the belt, and fought Jones when he was healed up. I just see Stipe as someone interested in fighting Jones at this point. That's fine given where he's at in his career, but he shouldn't be allowed to fight for the title, as we know he's not sticking around to defend against anyone else. Dana's signing up for another GSP at middleweight if he gives Stipe a title shot. We all know he doesn't like that. I also doubt Jones will want to fight the interim champ over Stipe when he returns. So I would guess Jones and Stipe fight each other in another retirement fight. I agree with the first part of the statement. Okay, fine. I get what you're saying. After which the belt is dropped and the interim title becomes the official title. How do you think this will play out? Love from the Netherlands. Thank you, Luke. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, L-U-C. Listen, I don't know about you guys, and I'd love to get GC's take on this, Rick's take on it, anyone's take. I don't feel like Jones and Stipe at this point has any juice to it whatsoever. I really don't. It's been so long since Stipe fought. I get it means something to Jones, and I understand the historical value, but if Aspinall steamrolls Pavlovich, or vice versa, to me, the more interesting fight is Jones versus... Like, we can't make this heavyweight title the legacy title. If Jones really wants to fight Stipe, then even more reason to make this the vacant title fight. If Stipe really wants to fight Jones, even more reason. But you can't hold up the division, and you can't tell two youngish bulls like Sergey and Tom, hey, you got to wait until these guys have their legacy fight. And so, yeah, maybe this goes down as one of those great what-if fights that was booked and never came to fruition. Lord knows there's been a few of them. But you can't tell me that come July of next year at the earliest, maybe even later, who knows how this thing heals up, he hasn't had the surgery yet, that Jon Jones versus Stipe for the undisputed heavyweight title makes any sense whatsoever when you'll have an interim champion, and it'll have been over a year since Jon's last fight, only fight at heavyweight, and what, 3 or so years? Over 3 years since Stipe's last fight. You know, everyone's scoffing at Francis being, the real champ and all this stuff. Like, what do you say now? You know what I mean? So I get what this man is saying, and this is all the more reason as to why the fight on November 10th or 11th, I should say, should be for the undisputed title. It should be for the vacant title. And then if Jones and Stipe want to fight each other, let them fight in a non-title fight. To be honest, Jones and Stipe don't even need a title. It's that kind of legacy fight. Do you really need a heavyweight title attached to that fight? Jones just wants to fight Stipe because of who he is in the heavyweight division, and vice versa. Stipe wants to fight Jon because of who he is in the history of the sport. Let the division play out with the belt. Let them fight, and then the winner, if they want, because remember, there was some rumors that they were both going to retire come November 11th. Don't have the belt attached to that. You don't need the belt. Some fights don't need belts attached to it. That's one of them. Let Tom, let Sergey, let everyone else at heavyweight realize their dreams as well. I believe Rick is there. Rick, agree or disagree?
Disagree from the agree with most of it. Let me start with that. Agree with most of it. Disagree from the perspective that, like, if I'm Jon Jones, why would I want to fight Stipe Miocic without a title on the line? That doesn't do anything. Like, he needs to have a heavyweight championship legacy to build. That's what the whole point of this thing of going up to heavyweight was for. So
okay, let's start here. Do you agree with the decision to make Aspinall Pavlovich for the interim title, or do you agree with me that it should be for the vacant title?
It depends on the conversation that was had with Jon Jones. If Jon Jones is saying, I'm going to be back and I'm going to defend this title, then I agree that they should have made it interim, and that's the correct call.
But Dana said 8 months.
If it's 8 months, it's 8 months. As long as Jon is telling me I'm coming back to defend this title.
But it can't be forever. 8 months, it's going to be over a year since his last fight.
Francis sat on the sideline for a year with no hopes of defending the title. That's just...
They could have stripped him. They were the ones holding out hope that he was coming back. He didn't hold up the belt.
Are you asking me, should the UFC strip Jon Jones? The answer is no. Jon Jones should hold on to that belt as long as he possibly can, and they should have it on Jon Jones as long as they possibly can, if Jon Jones is going to defend it. Now, if Jon Jones says, hey, I really don't have interest in coming back and defending this belt, then make it for the real title. But if Jon Jones is giving you the indication that he'll be back, then yes, this is the correct move.
What if it's Jon Jones is giving you the indication that he'll be back, but he wants to defend the title against Stipe when he's back?
Fine by me if I'm the UFC. That's what they wanted to do in the first place.
But you're making an interim title fight. Now you're making an interim title fight, and the interim champ is just going to sit there.
Interim title fight has always been number one contendership. It's not a real belt.
But then you're going to have those guys sitting there for, I mean, it could end up being till early 2025 by the time they get back in there.
Right.
Because, why would you accept the fight at that point if you hold the interim title? You essentially have your golden ticket to get a title fight.
They can put on interim title fights in the meantime if they need to. And those guys would be happy to fight Jon Jones on the back end of it if Jon Jones is still there and able to fight. That's the reality is Jon Jones is the kingmaker in this whole equation.
Right, but why would they take an additional interim title fight and not just wait it out until Jon Jones, which could potentially be early 2025?
Why would who do that? Why would
whoever wins the interim title? Yes.
It might not. Maybe they'll just sit and wait for the winner of Stipe and Jon.
And that means that person may not fight for the entire calendar year.
And their reward is fighting Jon Jones, assuming that he wins, and I will assume that he wins.
Wins and sticks around. Wins and sticks around because it was all this stuff. It's too much. It's too much.
This is the sport. We're seeing it with Michael Chandler right now. Sometimes you have to take the risk and wait. If you want the big prize, if you want the opportunity, if you want the Conor McGregor, if you want the Jon Jones, this is the gambit.
The difference
is the game that you have to play.
The difference is Michael Chandler has 5 or 6 fights recently under his belt where he was making close to $1 million. Tom, Sergey aren't making that money. They need to fight. They have to fight.
He's also not waiting for a title shot. He's waiting for a fight with Conor McGregor.
A. B.
Yeah, that's the payday. That's the prize.
Sure,
this prize is Jon Jones.
I just don't understand. Make it for the undisputed belt.
The heavyweight championship is not the prize here.
Of course.
A fight with Jon Jones is the prize. So interim, not interim, it does not matter. What they are angling for is to win this fight and then fight Jon Jones.
I just think it makes things so much cleaner. If you make this for the undisputed title, Jon Jones comes back. If he wants to fight Stipe, because you don't need the title, as you just said, the prize is Jon Jones. Do Jon versus Stipe, have these guys fight, and if Jon or Stipe wins that fight and wants to fight for the belt, then let them have the first crack at the belt.
But
if all they care about is each other and not Sergey and Tom, let the division play out and let those guys, rack up the pay-per-view points. Why?
I don't hate that. But if I'm Jon Jones, am I saying, yeah, good, let them fight for the belt?
No. I'm not willingly giving it up if I'm Jon Jones.
Right.
Just Jon, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the UFC should have done that. I'm not saying, of course, Jon should hold on to it.
Where does that put Jon Jones in the UFC's book if they do that to him? Jon, we're taking your belt and we're going to have them fight for it. When you come back, if you come back and want to fight those guys, great. If you don't, see you later.
If you come back and want to fight those guys, you'll be treated as a champion. You'll get pay-per-view points just like Yuri Prochaska is getting pay-per-view points, as I learned today. You'll be treated as a champion, and you'll get the first crack at the belt. But we got to keep this thing rolling along. It's the exact same thing they told us as to why they stripped, Yuri and why they...
Go ahead. But those guys are not Jon Jones.
Yeah,
I'm concerned about my relationship with Jon Jones more than I'm concerned about whether Sergey or Tom gets the real belt or an interim belt.
If this is the way Stipe's career ends, a little bit sad, right? If he gets boxed down, then it just says to hell with it, and it almost feels quite fitting for his personality for him to just walk away and say to hell with it. That's kind of crappy too. The most decorated heavyweight champion of all time.
He deserves better than that. But yeah, I mean, this is one of those scenarios, and I think it's becoming more true than ever, right? How Dana White has always said, we give you an opportunity, and if you pass on it, but just all this stuff. It seems more true than ever that they are willing to move on if you don't take the first available option. If you're not saying yes to everything, the train moves on. And that would be a very unfortunate way for Stipe's career to end because he deserves better than that. And this fight felt like the better than that, right? This fight felt like Stipe, win or lose this fight against Jon Jones, this would be a perfect capper to the career, right? Mm-hmm. Here it is. He got the big opportunity, MSG heavyweight title. It's either sink or swim, and then we move on. But now it's dicey. So yeah, I'm extremely curious to see what he has to say. He's the one who I'm most curious about in this scenario.
Yeah. Fascinating times in the sport. Okay, let's move along. Peter, what's the crack, Ariel? What's the crack, Peter? Kamaru Usman just put on a great performance, but with 2 losses to Leon, he isn't getting that shot. What would you say about a gatekeeper matchup with him and Bobby Knuckles? Thanks for the show. Appreciate you opening up about anxiety. Well, if Colby Covington beats Leon in December, everything changes. Kind of don't mind Kamaru taking just fun fights. Robert is a former welterweight, having tremendous success at 185. I wouldn't hate it. I certainly wouldn't hate it. Obviously, the loss to DDP puts Robert a little bit back in that line, in that queue at 185. So, yeah, I don't hate it at all. Would be fun. 2 former 170-pounders, 2 former champions going toe-to-toe. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. And honestly, I want to see more of Kamaru, especially with the success that he had on Saturday. Like, I'm not ready to write him off. That was great stuff. Boy, hello, Ariel and crew. Considering how important fighter safety is, isn't it crazy that so many people thought Johnny Walker should have gotten 5 minutes to recover? Even when someone gets hit incredibly hard, they might still want to continue after 5 minutes. But should they? If they are concussed, they should take months off. Getting back in there straight away seems like a bad idea. Another question regarding the same fight. Would Walker have grounds to make an appeal? And if so, what are the odds of the decision being turned into a DQ? Much love, boy from Brighton. Shout out to Brighton. Great football club. Back into the question. Yeah, that's probably a question that I could have and should have asked him. It's a little bit funky with those international commissions. UFC very much in charge. But, I mean, it's very rare that these things get overturned. Ultimately, I don't think he really cares if it's a DQ or no contest. I think he cares if he gets his show and win. And then I think he cares if they run it back. So let's see what the UFC does. Do they pay him? Do they make it right, as Dana White said? Do they run it back, or is he now the number 1 contender? I think he would want all of those scenarios much more than it being overturned and he doesn't get, the win and all that. I always find it funny in those situations that even get 50% of the win, something that money was being allocated to one of the 2 guys. Wasn't his fault. Would anyone be upset? Would anyone think it's the wrong call if the guy who got blasted in his face gets his win? I don't think so. First part of the question, considering how important fighter safety is, isn't it crazy that so many people thought Judge Jeff? I mean, if he's saying he's not injured, then you want to see them fight it out. I mean, guys are getting punched in the head throughout the fight. They're getting kneed in the head, and they come back and fight. Like, then you could say every time someone gets blasted, the fight should just be stopped. So, yes, I understand the sentiment, but if he's saying he was good to go and knew exactly where he was, then, I mean, it's cage fighting. Let them fight. Chris Kingsland. Hi, Ariel. If you're Max Holloway, are you making more noise right about now? I feel like this is Holloway's big chance to become champ again. Here's the thing about Max Holloway. You don't need to make noise. And also, if you have a great manager, which he does, Tim Simpson, you're making that noise behind the scenes. There are some people who need Twitter to rally around them or feel like, but really business is being done behind closed doors. You don't need to. So who knows what they're doing behind closed doors? Let's not just look at Twitter or Instagram to make quote unquote noise. That's fun for you and I, but I'm sure they're having conversations and, I'm sure they're doing their due diligence, campaigning, whichever way they want this to go. He also writes, the MMA Hour award show slowly looming. Could we add an award? I would love post-fight one-liners. Oliveira, wow! What?
Read it carefully.
Oh, my God. I wish I read these before. What are the chances? Chris writes this. I would love post-fight one-liners. Oliveira, the champion, has a name. His name is Charles Oliveira. Charles Oliveira. You knew this was coming, Frank, Was this like anticipation? You just saw me barreling right into this, right?
It was quite funny.
Yeah, maybe we need that now so I can forever remember this moment. Ben P. Hello, Ariel and crew. I have a question regarding UFC 300. Oh, I can't wait. He says, just kidding. That was good. Oh, my God. I'm actually happy now that I didn't read these before. Why do you think Nate Diaz is so against fighting Jake Paul in MMA? Is he really that bothered by the PFL brand? I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I mean, he likes the UFC. He's a UFC lifer. You know what? Can I just say something? Can Jake Paul and Nate Diaz go their separate ways? Talk about a feud that has no juice left to it. Can they go their separate ways? Agree or disagree, gents? GC, like, why are we even doing this? I think we're done.
I actually only have interest in MMA. I don't want to see the boxing again.
I have interest in nothing. Let's go.
I'd watch MMA. I'd watch MMA.
I want to see Nate fight an MMA guy. Let's just move on. Can we just move on?
There are fights that I want to see Nate fight more than Jake Paul. But I'm just saying.
There's some people who have magic
MMA.
together.
Boxing, none.
These two have no magic together. Does that mean there's nothing? I don't feel Connor and Nate, give me them 10 times. I don't feel anything here. Am I wrong for saying that? Does that mean?
I don't know. I feel something, but
I'm with you. I'm only interested in it from the angle that Jake Paul seems to be willing to commit to fight MMA if it's against Nate Diaz, and I don't know if that's true.
He doesn't really
of
seem that
anybody
committed
else.
to it, to be honest.
Well, I mean, MVP, his most valuable promotions, put out the tweet that they have accepted PFL's offer to fight MMA against Nate Diaz.
I wonder if there's any world where they just
do just that. Why do you think this is becoming a trend for MMA fighters? Fight in boxing, then complain it isn't a real fight. Is this all down to money? Do they not realize how silly they sound? Okay, well, that's a totally different thing. And I said, I don't want to hear that anymore. Stop with that. Stop with it. You sign up for a boxing match, fight the boxing match, and then, take it on the chin, and that's it. Like, this whole thing, I don't think Francis is going to say it on Saturday if he loses. But this whole thing, like Dylan did the same thing. I would have beat you. Like, no, that's not what you're signing up for. That's like, signing up to play someone in one-on-one basketball and saying, well, I would have beaten you if this was an arm wrestling competition. Like, that's not what we're doing. We're boxing, and we're finding out who's the better boxer. We know that Nate is the better MMA fighter and martial artist. That's not up for debate. But what we're trying to figure out is, if the MMA veteran who has been in countless fights in a cage is better than the, relatively fresh, new novice boxer with less than 10 fights on his resume, pro and amateur. That's what we're trying to figure out here. So we already established, we don't need to establish that. So I agree. It's a little bit silly. And Jake hasn't announced who his opponent is going to be. My inclination is it's not an MMA fighter, but who knows? There's no real clues out there just yet. But it's on December 15th, and that is rapidly approaching. Perhaps they announce it this weekend. Frank, you going to the fight in Orlando, the Amanda Serrano fight?
I'm not going to be able to make it.
Some fan you are. All right.
Oh, you were going, right?
Well, I mean, I'm not an unabashed Serrano.
That makes sense, yeah.
Hi, Ariel. Love the show. In each division, who's your champion if it was a 125-minute round rather than 5 5s? Each division? You want me to go through each division right now? Great cardio doesn't necessarily mean success, but how different do you think fights would be? Shout out to Frank's randomizer. Cheers, G from Glasgow. I mean, each division?
Maybe just middle.
Thanks, Frank. Let's start with heavyweight. Who can go the full 25 minutes? I mean, I kind of like Aspinall's chances. I'll go Aspinall at heavy. I'll go light heavy. Bit of a massive situation. I'll go Alex. I'll go Alex at light heavy. Pereira, that is. At middleweight, I'll go Hamza. No, I'm just joking. I'll go Paulo. No, I'm just joking. Whittaker. I feel like Whittaker has good cardio. I mean, is he?
Strickland's probably the guy, right? Like, literally every single round exactly the same.
Fair. Welterweight, I feel like Leon has pretty good cardio. Like, I mean, I feel like the listeners are just dying right now. They're going to sleep. Me answering this question.
This is the equivalent of the boxing. This is the equivalent of the boxing real fight thing.
Yeah.
It's the exact same.
Frank,
it's like
those
this
questions
is not
where
real
people are
fighting.
like,
This is real fighting. It's
give
just
me your
useless.
top
G is
five.
never gonna ask another question again.
Give me your
Guy
top
writes all the way
five.
from Glasgow.
Poor guy, man.
I mean,
God.
if you could say like, give me the one guy, but you want me to go through every weight class right
I
now?
just told you could do middleweight, and you did it. Good job.
Yeah, and I screwed it up. Strickland
Yeah.
was the right one.
Poor G.
Who has the best cardio in MMA? Period. Male or female? Who's number one?
Merab Dvalishvili, no doubt.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, there you go.
His style is just not sustainable for literally anybody but him. It's impossible.
That's a great one. Yeah, 100%. I mean, his main event fight against Jan, it was just like it felt like he could go 15 more rounds. Dominic Helwani, do you have any idea when you'll be covering a WWE event again? I love hearing you talk all things wrestling. Wow, thank you. Actually, I don't know. So the WWE deal with TNT Sports, who I usually do the wrestling stuff for, that's, the network formerly known as BT in the UK. It's up this year, and I don't know what's going to happen, as is my deal with them. So I don't know what's going to happen there. I was at Money in the Bank. I wasn't at SummerSlam. It was the same night as Diaz, Paul. I don't think I'm going to Survivor Series. Maybe Royal Rumble. That would probably be the next one. Not that far away. It's only like 3 months away in Tampa at Tropicana Field. So let's earmark that. But really, I mean, who knows where they'll be and who knows where I'll be. But let's say probably Royal Rumble. Mean Tangerine. And I enjoy it as well, especially the sit-downs, the Ariel meets. I've enjoyed those immensely over the last couple of years. Anyone watch Real Sports last night? Dan Hurley piece? Anyone check that out?
I didn't.
GC, big CBB guy?
Yeah, big Connecticut guy too. I'll watch it this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Came out late, man. 10 o'clock. That's past my bedtime.
Rick? Real Sports?
He was a little busy.
I was out of commission yesterday,
I mean,
Oh yeah,
just
I
watch.
forgot, man.
I mean,
So
it's
sorry,
just-
Ariel.
Rick's a trooper for being here.
No, I know, but just watching, Real
I mean, 10 o'clock, man.
Brian Gumbel is
We got to fast forward through a bunch just to get to you.
29 years, Emmys, There I am. I'm hobnobbing with like a broadcasting legend, royalty.
Yeah, man, we got plenty of time to watch
Rising
it.
tides.
Yeah.
If this is the same reaction on Monday, then we kind of have an issue.
Meaning, if you guys haven't watched by Monday,
Yeah, then it's like, oh,
All right,
man,
fair.
you guys really don't care, huh?
12-minute,
Right.
it's like a 12-minute story.
I mean, it came out real late last night.
Yeah.
Obviously breaking news overnight. Had to
That's
make
right.
adjustments on the fly. I mean,
You knew that was coming.
yeah.
Mean Tangerine. Hey, Ariel, what are the chances we see a plethora of announcement this week from Dana White solely just to spite and take focus off of Fury and Ngannou? I mean, I don't think he planned this one. I certainly don't think he planned this one, but it kind of worked, right? The Jones thing. I don't think it's something that they were hoping for, but I don't think so. I mean, the fight is happening at this point, like 3 days away, and then they'll move on with their lives. I don't foresee something. And maybe a nice little Friday announcement, but what are they going to announce? Volk isn't ready to return, and that was supposed to be the main event for, like, what is big enough to, I guess Connor would be big enough, but let's see. I'm not hearing anything, but I've been proven wrong. Well, actually, I'm not usually proven wrong, so I can't really say that.
You
But
have to just come down to one answer.
Connor, this is from Connor with an O. Ariel, double N. Could this happen and be a good product? UFC transitions to a team-based format like NFL, MLB, NBA. I already want to sleep. With fighters forming teams of, oh my God, 4 in the same weight class. Seasons consist of 6. Oh, what is this? The PFL? You're explaining the PFL right here. 6 monthly fights, top tier fighters, second string, 2. This is fighting, all right? I don't want all these gimmicks. It's not the NFL. It's not Major League Baseball. It's not seasons and standings and all this stuff. It works for the PFL, but no, I don't want that. I want this guy fighting this guy to advance his career to get to this title. That's it. That's all I want. Teams have salary caps and GMs, drafts, and free agency. No, look up something called the International Fight League back in the day. It was sort of like this, and it was a failure. So I'm not trying to be mean, but no, None of this, please. Oh, he's even saying team. Oh, wow. London, NYC, Vegas teams. No, please, Connor.
Should we get a pit as well? Maybe put this circled by a pit.
Oh my God, what a disaster! What, like the Yama pit?
You know it.
God, do you remember at the very end of PFL they tried to do like I think it was called what was it called? The IFL. Did I say IFL or PFL? IFL back in the day fought in a ring, which was fine. Never really loved the ring, to be honest, for MMA. I know Pride had the ring, but with wrestling and all that, it just made it a little clunky. And the cage has become just so synonymous with MMA, cage fighting. But then at the very end, they never actually fought in this structure. It was either an 8-sided or 6-sided ring, a la TNA Impact Wrestling. They introduced this. Do you remember this, Rick? I think it was an 8-sided ring, and they were calling it something. And then, let me see if I can get the name. IFL. This is even before Rick was on the program. This is like 2007, 8.
Yeah, even I don't have a recollection of what the hell.
Oh
you're
yeah,
talking
this
about.
is good. IFL 8. I mean, 2007. What grade were you in, GC?
Third.
Oof.
For real?
No.
Oh.
No.
Seriously, what grade were you?
7th. Yeah, it's just that easy. Like, you can just correlate the year with what grade I was in.
IFL. I wrote here it is. Yeah, this is the picture. Wow, look at that. Oh, it was called the Hex. 6-sided ring. Sorry. Yes, the Hex, they called it. It actually...
Kind of a cool name.
Yeah, it was not bad. It was going to allow for strategic benefits. All right. Here it is. From Sports Illustrated. May 9th, 2008. You were in 2nd grade, GC?
8th grade.
No, I think he said...
You said he course. You
Yeah,
know
I
what?
said 3rd, so then I got to 2008 and I went back to 2nd. 8th grade.
The International Fight League on Thursday announced the creation of a new hexagon-shaped ring that will be used in all of the promotion's future fights, starting with an August 15th event at the Izod Center in New Jersey. The ring was made for the IFL in conjunction with Throwdown Industries and will feature a 6-sided ring with 5 ropes enclosing the surface. Never happened. Crazy. We move along. Jason, Mr. Magnificent Mysterious Frank. Wow.
I actually thought this question was for you.
Oh, no, this is for you. Do you follow Formula One and the recent dominance by Red Bull Racing? I'm patiently waiting for Ariel to interview Sir Lewis Hamilton in studio, perhaps. Jason from Atlanta. So Jason is asking if you follow Formula One. Are you a big F1 guy?
I don't. My brother's huge into it. That's the furthest I've gone.
I'm only a Daniel Ricciardo fan.
Yeah, Lewis Hamilton, that feels like a big get.
That's a big get. In studio, huh? Wow.
I mean, he's just going to drive
Should
the car in here?
Should we do that on the same episode as LeBron in studio? Or should we do that?
Talking about.
Should we do that after the Pat Mahomes in studio appearance? My brother loves F1. My brother's been watching F1 since the early 90s. Montreal's a big F1 town, and every June they come to Montreal. They come to the Gilles Villeneuve track. Of course, the famous Gilles Villeneuve, father of the great. What was his son's name? Anyone?
Mario Andretti?
Jacques Villeneuve, former Indy 500 winner who then transitioned to F1. Never quite, had the same success in F1. Anyway, my brother's been watching for a long time, but never got into the cars. Not even a car guy now. Like, I couldn't really care less about cars, to be honest. People get into Tyson's talking about the G-Wagon and all that. I don't even know what that is. What is a G-Wagon? Is a G-Wagon, I'm assuming it's like some sort of truck? I couldn't even care less. It's not my thing.
It's a luxury Mercedes-Benz truck. Yeah.
There you go. Are you a big car guy, Rick?
I used to be when I was a kid. I was like a Motor Trend subscriber and really into cars. Now, not as much. Casual F1 fan, like probably on the level that you're at. Yeah, definitely loved watching Top Gear, but never I was not a gearhead by any means, but I definitely kept more track of cars when I was
feel like
younger.
not knowing what a G-Wagon is. That's really not knowing cars at all.
Yeah, I know nothing.
Well, G-Wagon is very if you know rap music and
Yeah, I've
any,
heard it.
basketball, you'll know what
I've
it is
heard.
as well.
I won't lie. I've heard people say it, but like, could I? If you brought 5 luxury cars in front of me, can I tell you which is the G wagon? No.
Mercedes, kind of
No.
boxy.
Super
it's like
boxy
the
Mercedes.
truck.
But yeah, I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. Yeah.
No, it's not a truck. Like it's like
Oh.
when you guys say truck, do you guys mean like SUV?
It's a utility vehicle.
Yeah, utility vehicle. SUV.
I prefer
Truck, I think.
sport utility.
Truck, I think.
vehicle.
Truck, I think like pickup truck.
Yeah, well, you got a weird definition of truck.
Do I? I feel like it's in the name, isn't it? Utility vehicle too. I feel like it's both in the names.
Are you? By the way, are you quoting Sprinter by Central C when you say SUV like that? SUV?
No. SUV.
Do you know that song?
No.
You guys still don't know that song?
No.
500 meters. SUV. SOS. Somebody rescue me. You don't know that? That's all my kids listen to. Man. Central C. Do you know who Central C is?
SUV? No. Central C.
You don't know who Central C is?
No.
Frank, please tell me you know Central C.
Yep.
You don't know Central C?
This is your kid. This is your kid's favorite artist.
He's like the biggest thing in UK rap. He just had a single come out with Drake. She don't listen to UK
I know
rap.
Central C from I think he was one of the chicken shop dates, and I've definitely seen him around on
He's
TikTok.
gigantic. He's gigantic. She don't listen to UK rap. You don't know that?
I know of him more than I know him. You know what I mean?
By the way, you heard Central C in Manchester. They were playing a ton of Central C GC at the weigh-ins.
Didn't you name check Central C like in the
the weigh-in
broadcast?
show? Because he's the freaking man. Yeah. Wow. You guys are making fun of me for not knowing what a G-Wagon is. You don't know maybe the biggest rap star in the game right now. C, by the way, is CEE.
Yeah. I found him on Google.
All right. Hut, Ariel, watching Nathaniel Wood lose the fight at 294 against Muhammad Naimov was one of the most infuriating conclusions to a fight I can remember. Naimov blatantly cheated at least 5 times, numerous low blows, fence grabs at crucial times, fingers holding inside the gloves of Wood. The referee didn't take a single point, although he did talk to Naimov on at least 3 occasions. When is enough enough? Do you think Wood has legitimate grounds for asking for this decision to be overturned? Love the show. Love the watch party. All caps. Thanks, guys. Tough. Again, like I said previously, it's always very hard to get these fights overturned. But I agree. And I also agree that, it should just be a warning. Everyone knows what you can and can't do. Now, there are some things you could tell maybe in the flow. Oh, they did this, they did that. Fine. But everyone knows. You hit someone below the belt, that's a point. I'm sorry. You hit someone in the eye with the finger, that's a point. I'm sorry. There has to be, look, in football, I'm sure that cornerback didn't mean to bump that wide receiver in the end zone on a 65-yard Hail Mary. But guess what? It's still a pass interference, and you got to live with the ramifications. You can't. I hear some people saying like, "Oh, no. In a 3-round fight, you can't take a point away." It's just, well, what about in the freaking Super Bowl when you're the Eagles and you get called for pass interference, and now all of a sudden they're about to score a touchdown on you? Like, no, there has to be ramifications. There has to be a punishment. MMA, maybe more so than any other sport, is the best sport to cheat in because you grab the fence, takedown, you stop the takedown, change the trajectory of the fight, you poke a guy in the eye, you hit him below the belt, you knee him while he's down, and everyone's like, oh, cheer up, Buttercup, dust yourself off, keep on fighting. It's ridiculous. So yes, I think it should be warning in the locker room, and if you do something illegal, if there's an infraction of any kind, just like if you grab someone's face mask, it's 15 yards, just like when you swat a ball that's going in, it's a goaltend, 2 points. You get penalized. Sorry. If you don't like it, don't do it. Right, Frank?
Well said.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Appreciate everyone who sent in questions. Great job, Frank. Really good stuff.
Yeah, I really liked picking these out.
Yeah. Still positive over there?
Yeah.
On the Substack? No, because I really like the positive.
It is very positive. Yeah.
It's nice. It's not like that Reddit place that you like to visit.
Even more positive on Reddit.
Wow, really? Reddit's very positive.
It really is. They don't tolerate too much bullshit.
I like that. Is that your favorite one?
Probably. I used to hate it, and then now I can't.
You can't get enough.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll sign up for Alistair Overeem's app about the phone?
No. I don't have a problem.
I am very curious to see how this app, works, how it pans out. I'm very curious. I look forward to it very much.